AWS Certified Security. Specialty SCS-C02 exam dumps questions are valuable for you to study the related topics. Share some AWS certification SCS-C02 exam dumps questions here. 1. A company needs a forensic logging solution for hundreds of applications running in Docker on Amazon EC2. The solution must perform real-time analytics on the logs, must support the replay of messages, and must persist the logs. Which IAM services should be used to meet these requirements? Select 2. A. Amazon Athena, B. Amazon Kinesis, C. Amazon SQS, D. Amazon Elasticsearch, E. Amazon EMR. 2. Which of the following are valid configurations for using SSL certificates with Amazon CloudFront? Select 3. A default AWS Certificate Manager certificate, B. Custom SSL certificate stored in AWS KMS, C. Default CloudFront certificate, D. Custom SSL certificate stored in AWS Certificate Manager, E. Default SSL certificate stored in AWS Secrets Manager, F. Custom SSL certificate stored in AWS IAM. 3. A security engineer needs to implement a write-once-read-many (worm) model for data that a company will store in Amazon S3 buckets. The company uses the S3 standard storage class for all of its S3 buckets. The security engineer must ensure that objects cannot be overwritten or deleted by any user, including the AWS account root user. Which solution will meet these requirements? A. Create new S3 buckets with S3 object lock enabled in compliance mode. Place objects in the S3 buckets. B. Use S3 Glacier Vault Lock to attach a vault lock policy to new S3 buckets. Wait 24 hours to complete the vault lock process. Place objects in the S3 buckets. C. Create new S3 buckets with S3 object lock enabled in governance mode. Place objects in the S3 buckets. D. Create new S3 buckets with S3 object lock enabled in governance mode. Add a legal hold to the S3 buckets. Place objects in the S3 buckets. 4. A development team is attempting to encrypt and decode a secure string parameter from the IAM Systems Manager parameter store using an IAM Key Management Service (IAM KMS CMK). However, each attempt results in an error message being sent to the development team. Which CMK-related problems possibly account for the error? Select 2. A. The CMK as used in the attempt does not exist. B. The CMK as used in the attempt needs to be rotated. C. The CMK as used in the attempt is using the CMK Euro S key ID instead of the CMK ARN. D. The CMK as used in the attempt is not enabled. E. The CMK as used in the attempt is using an alias. 5. A company has a large fleet of Linux Amazon EC2 instances and Windows EC2 instances that run in private subnets. The company wants all remote administration to be performed as securely as possible in the AWS cloud. Which solution will meet these requirements? A. Do not use SSHRSA private keys during the launch of new instances. Implement AWS Systems Manager Session Manager. B. Generate new SSHRSA private keys for existing instances. Implement AWS Systems Manager Session Manager. C. Do not use SSHR-SA private keys during the launch of new instances. Configure EC2 Instance Connect. D. Generate new SSHR-SA private keys for existing instances. Configure EC2 Instance Connect. 6. A company has multiple Amazon S3 buckets encrypted with customer-managed CMKs. Due to regulatory requirements, the keys must be rotated every year. The company's security engineer has enabled automatic key rotation for the CMKs. However, the company wants to verify that the rotation has occurred. What should the security engineer do to accomplish this? A. Filter IAM CloudTrail logs for key rotation events. B. Monitor Amazon Cloud Watson events for any IAM KMS CMK rotation events. C. Using the IAM CLI. Run the IAM KMS GEL key relation status operation with the key id parameter to check the CMK rotation date. D. Use Amazon Athena to query IAM CloudTrail logs saved in an S3 bucket to filter generate new key events. 7. Amazon GuardDuty has detected communications to a known command and control endpoint from a company's Amazon EC2 instance. The instance was found to be running a vulnerable version of a common web framework. The company's security operations team wants to quickly identify other compute resources with the specific version of that framework installed. Which approach should the team take to accomplish this task? A. Scan all the EC2 instances for non-compliance with IAM config. Use Amazon Athena to query IAM CloudTrail logs for the framework installation. B. Scan all the EC2 instances with the Amazon Inspector Network Reachability Rules package to identity instances running a web server with recognized port with listener findings. C. Scan all the EC2 instances with IAM Systems Manager to identify the vulnerable version of the web framework. D. Scan the EC2 instances with IAM Resource Access Manager to identify the vulnerable version of the web framework. 8. A company hosts an application on Amazon EC2 that is subject to specific rules for regulatory compliance. One rule states that traffic to and from the workload must be inspected for network-level attacks. This involves inspecting the whole packet. To comply with this regulatory rule, a security engineer must install intrusion detection software on AC5N.4 extra-large EC2 instance. The engineer must then configure the software to monitor traffic to and from the application instances. What should the security engineer do next? A. Place the network interface in promiscuous mode to capture the traffic. B. Configure VPC flow logs to send traffic to the monitoring EC2 instance using a network load balancer. C. Configure VPC traffic mirroring to send traffic to the monitoring EC2 instance using a network load balancer. D. Use Amazon Inspector to detect network-level attacks and trigger an IAM Lambda function to send the suspicious packets to the EC2 instance. 9. A company has a relational database workload that runs on Amazon Aurora MySQL. According to new compliance standards, the company must rotate all database credentials every 30 days. The company needs a solution that maximizes security and minimizes development effort. Which solution will meet these requirements? A. Store the database credentials in AWS Secrets Manager. Configure automatic credential rotation tour every 30 days. B. Store the database credentials in AWS Systems Manager Parameter Store. Create an AWS Lambda function to rotate the credentials every 30 days. C. Store the database credentials in an environment file or in a configuration file. Modify the credentials every 30 days. D. Store the database credentials in an environment file or in a configuration file. Create an AWS Lambda function to rotate the credentials every 30 days. 10. A company's security engineer is developing an incident response plan to detect suspicious activity in an AWS account for VPC-hosted resources. The security engineer needs to provide visibility for as many AWS regions as possible. Which combination of steps will meet these requirements most cost-effectively? Select 2. A. Turn on VPC flow logs for all VPCs in the account. B. Activate Amazon GuardDuty across all AWS regions. C. Activate Amazon Detective across all AWS regions. D. Create an Amazon Simple Notification Service, Amazon SNS topic. Create an Amazon Event Bridge rule that responds to findings and publishes the findings to the SNS topic. E. Create an AWS Lambda function. Create an Amazon Event Bridge rule that invokes the Lambda function to publish findings to Amazon Simple Email S or Vice, Amazon SES.